Issues to do with the boy child, how best can we liberate them from the oppression that they're feeling they're in? And of course, from where we left it at, you know, it seems to be that men are lashing out. Is it the proper way of doing it? No one knows for sure. I personally don't know for sure. But then, even as we talk about men and how they're being oppressed and how we're focusing on the girl child, what does it mean to be a man to its core, and not just any man, a proper man?
Okay, thank you actually for that question. To be a man on its core, it does not require just a word to say it, because it's one thing to say you are a man, or rather a real man, and it's another thing to act like one. Mm-hmm. So manhood is less of physical appearance, but more of what we call the psychological response. How are you responding to your challenges? How are you understanding yourself? Do you recognize yourself first as a solution? Do you recognize yourself first as a mentor? Do you recognize yourself as somebody who can be trusted with the responsibility? Because we say participation comes with responsibility and accountability. And by the fact that you find yourself in the other side of gender called men, therefore you are supposed to accept yourself as somebody who can be trusted in the process. Being a man to the core doesn't mean when you clash out, you only resort to violence as the only option. But now, being a man is not the challenge. Then the biggest question now comes, how do you gradually reach to that point where people can say, truly that person is a real man?
Yeah.
That is the question we need to ask, and that's why I think this conversation is so vital to a point we are seeing. How do we liberate men from being boys to men in the society? Because when I said it's not about the physical composition, we have men who are 18, we have boys who are 18 but acting like men. Mm-hmm. And we have men who are 40 but acting like boys. So we must distinguish the two. And that means we have to see as a community, or rather as a society, where are we failing to bring the best breed of men that we expect?
Where do you think we're failing?
Yeah, we are failing. We mentioned in terms of the legal response.
Okay.
The legal response, the cultural response, and there's something that is also happening. We are expecting too much from the boys with less empowerment efforts. Mm-hmm. And I can say what Dr. said about entities coming to protect the interest of boys. I must tell you, for you to get resources to implement those strategic programs, you need an evidence-based approach. There's a big data gap in terms of the issues affecting boys in the society. Yeah. And everybody believes that when you are initiating a strategic plan to implement pure boys programs, then you're trying to undermine their efforts in terms of empowerment for girls. And that's why you see most of those boys events, they're just one-time event, because they don't have consistency in terms of the resource provision. And that is as a result of lack of an evidence-based approach. Because at the end of the day, we need boys who understand themselves with empathy, with care, respect, and support to the community.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Dr. Susan, coming to you, and Thomas has given a very good description of what being a man is. It's not just about the physical composition. But then you talk about society and how there's appropriate and inappropriate expectations of how men or boys are supposed to be. Before we even get to the solutions, let's look to ourselves first. What is appropriate? What is inappropriate?
Well, I would like to say charity begins at home. If you look at families where you have boys and girls, you will actually go and find evidently that a girl is taught from a very early age how to wash her underwear, how to wash her clothes, and it is done even gently. That this is the way you do it if they go to the kitchen.
Yeah.
But a boy is mostly ignored. You can take care of yourself. And even in terms of the way maybe if they feed, you might find that parents will feed girls faster than and then the boys next. Even in terms of taking care of their needs. Now I'm moving from family going to church. You find a girl, maybe parents are worried a little bit and concerned how the girl child is dressed up. But rarely do they give even an eye to how the boy is dressing up. So the boy starts being ignored from the family circles. If you go up now to the school levels, you realize that if a boy comes to school dirty and they have marks all over their uniform, it's not a very big scare for the teacher. But if it's a girl, you keep hearing, and you are a girl, and you are a girl. And if you go to most boys' schools, especially pure boys' school, you can tell the difference. Where you find the girls' dormitories are very clean, but when you go to the boys' dormitories, you find a boy can live like an animal. It is okay. And I'm very happy because of one organization in this country that does marvelous works locally and internationally, the International Peace Support Training Center, because they bring in civilians who really want to have gender equity and equality and have gender-sensitive based programs. Because you will find that a part of the civilian products from that institution have started going to schools and saying even the boys' school should be clean, even their dormitories, even their toilets. Because if it is even a bedroom at home, you will find the bedroom for the boy can stay the way the boy wants. But for the girl, there is someone popping in. Well, we don't want mothers to always pop into the boys' rooms if the father is present. But if the father is not present, it is you, the female parent, to actually go in and find out how your son is doing. There is something that we miss out when we do not look at people as emotional beings. Even if they are men, they will actually go flat. So when they grow up, when they are teenagers, when they are actually young adults, when they become men who are in leadership or married, they lack empathy. So you can imagine it's like the way we are bringing the boy child up, we are creating sociopaths. So for me, sometimes I feel we are actually biting our own, our own input. That is what we did. We are actually harvesting what we planted in the boy child. And so if you have to say, I know myself as a man, one, it is self-awareness. And if you're a man and you're looking up to me, I know some of you are doing very good jobs with your son. I celebrate you. You have not missed even an event in school, in church because of your son. That is a very powerful empowerment. If you know yourself as a man, if you know that the inventory of how you are brought up, you can now pick the gaps and face the gaps. Don't be defensive as a man. And if you have a son, ensure the gaps that you had, your son does not experience them. Because there are men who say, I was never raised up by a father. So even you, I don't know how to raise you. You can never go that low for your child. You have to actually come up and say, this boy of mine, this son of mine, how different is he from me? And what kind of a man do I want to see him in future? The other thing is to find out, because in most cases, you will find a weak boy child is likely to marry, for those who are married, a very powerful woman. And it's because this world does not allow for gaps. It's like you want somebody else to come and compensate for what you don't have. And again, what happens? This man continuously feels very small and very low. And what is going to happen? They want to still defend the male ego that the society has told them, you are a man, you should be the leader, you should be the provider. And circumstances may be quite different. Maybe your wife who was quite empowered is the one who has a higher income, is the one who is best positioned to actually take care of everybody. So I want to tell the man that is watching me, have a self-awareness without fear. Know where you've come from, know your gaps, and know what kind of a man you want to be, because in the inside you have a very ideal picture. And I knew if you get a small boy of 6 years and below, they can tell you when they grow up what they want to become. What happens in between? A lot of things happen in between, and that man does not become. And I wanted to tell men that it's never too late to do that inventory and then seek counseling services, so that if you're not aware of why you do the things you do. Otherwise, these men who can kill in a second, these men who can take their lives in a second, these men who can actually take away all the resources meant maybe for the community, that lack of empathy, it is scaring. That was not the African man as I knew when I was growing up. A man that knew if I have a lot of resources, there is that need there I need to meet. There's another need there I need to meet. Right now, it's like we don't know who is the man. And I want to encourage the men who know they have done it very well. You know yourselves. Kindly don't celebrate when it is your only house that is doing very well and another house is not doing well, or one institution is doing well and another one is not doing well. And kindly remember, the boy child is also an emotional child. How you treat them emotionally is what they are going to give you. Thank you.
All right. Earlier on, when we were talking about lashing out, you mentioned and you asked the question, which I want you to answer yourself, about why is there a rise in single mothers? Why is there?
Okay, fine. Actually, I think the question you are asking, it is data-based supported, or it is an evidence supported, and it's not a hide anymore that Kenya is leading in the highest number of single mothers. And the reason why we are having the highest increase in the number of single mothers is because of more of a cultural aspect, and also what we call the empowerment notion of girls, where we have what we call the balance of responsibility. Balance of responsibility that comes as a result whereby women are now feeling what a man can provide, I can also provide the same.
Isn't it true though?
Yeah, it's true.
Okay.
Because do we have women CEOs?
Yes.
Do we have women who are journalists?
Yes.
Do we have women who are engineers? Do we have women who are politicians? It's true. Women, we are living in a society where women are equally empowered as men to some extent, though in different capacity. If you speak of representation, I know you are still fighting to climb the ladder to reach the two-third gender rule. But in other sectors, in health you will find doctors. In engineering field you'll find women engineers.
We're all over.
In education you are all over.
Yeah.
So we are living in a society where we have a balance of responsibility, where women are now feeling what you can provide as a man, I can as well provide. And if we dare disagree and fail to agree, I can walk out and still
but why should I stay?
Provide for my son, for my daughter. Those are what we call the change of culture. There's one woman who said, you are raising our sons like avocados only for our daughters to go abroad to get men of their own choices. So it means you are developing, the women are developing their preferable characters, that these are the specific qualities I want in a man. But now we are living in a society where the demands don't meet the society supply of men whom you want. So in the long run, we don't meet the optimum level. So that's why they resort, fine, for me to have peace of mind, stay your side, I stay my side. One day if we meet, well and good. So these are things that we really need to really look at. And I can tell you for a fact, the nation, we are working towards the rehabilitation process than the preventive process. The reason being, what does it cost you to empower boys so that they don't pregnate a 15-year-old, but you resort to launch a program to take care of young mothers who are 13 years, which is a bit expensive than preventive. Because preventive, we just have a mentorship session that empower these boys, that we need to understand that everything happens at the right time.
Okay.
Yeah, we need to understand that these vices are against the will of humanity, and they are inhuman, or they are against the human right policy. Invest too much in the preventive. That is what most of the states are afraid of.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Because we are seeing a pool of opportunity coming out of it.
Okay. Dr. Susan, I'll let you have the last word even as we wind up. So we know where the problem is, but we need to act right now. Preventive measures are better than, solving a problem. So then where should we go? For our viewers, we know that we have gaps in our laws. Even as we wait for that to be fixed, what can we do in societal level?
One of the things is to accept that there's a very big crisis in the way we are raising up the boy child, and all systems, all stakeholders that can be involved, coming from the parents, the teachers, the community leaders, the religious leaders, the political leaders. We need to ask ourselves very big questions. What am I doing for the boy child? And I like to say, I don't like talking about things that I don't do. And I am very happy, especially working with the legal systems around Thika. I have one Mr. Kirimi in the probation office that we have done a lot of good work, and especially for the preventive part of it, that you might find this boy has very bright future, but they did one thing because they lashed out because of the emotional instability, and they are taken to court, and they are given another chance so that we can be able to mold that boy. The mentorship that Thomas is talking about is very, very critical. And kindly, for the sponsors, the donors, I want to tell you, if you keep saying we empower the boy child, I am one of the empowered girl grown to a woman, and I'm very happy and celebrate that. But at the same time, do not deny funding to programs that are targeting the boy child. And if this country is also very serious about the things we are seeing in this nation, there should actually be budget allocation, even to non-governmental organizations. If the country has funds, why should we just have funds? And if it is the media houses, I know you don't do free work. If the government can also ensure in all the mainstream media houses, there is actually a program that is targeting to raise that boy child to be that man that we are going to be proud of, then let it be. Otherwise, for me, I say, I may do very small thing where I am, just where I am. But what about that boy? That boy in Kisumu, that boy in Mombasa. So it's the high time we actually came up together and said, these are our men. Otherwise, I would worry today, give birth to a girl, because I'm not sure, because maybe tomorrow I would go, who is this man? Deep conversations. But the religious institutions, I always tell you, there is always that fulfillment of building very big buildings, very beautiful sanctuaries, very beautiful temples and mosques. But who are the men that we are raising? So if the nation does not take up the responsibility, the faith-based organizations, I always know you can do a better job.
All right.
Thank you.
That's a really good place to end this conversation. Thank you very much, Dr. Susan Gitau, who is a psychologist joining us via Zoom. And here I have Thomas Ogendo, who is a program officer at African Boy Child Network. And I hope you've learned something from this discussion. Where are we going forward? Look inwards. How are we treating our boy child? And maybe we can move on from there. I'm Ashley Mazuri. Thank you for joining us. This is the end of Morning Prime.